Hello there, stranger. In today's video, we're checking out 5 sporty engines that bring the best of both worlds: thrilling performance and unwavering reliability. So, enough of talking and let's begin. No.1 H22A. The 2.2-litre Honda H22A engine was produced at an enterprise in Japan from 1991 to 2002 and was installed on sports modifications of the Accord model or the popular Prelude Coupe. The motor was offered in a couple of versions, less powerful with a black cover and more powerful with a red one. The H22 engine belongs to the H series of motors produced by Honda Motor in 1991-2001. The family is very reminiscent of the F series, but they are definitely more competently designed, differ in power, dynamics and force. It was supposed to install the engine on the top-end Honda cars. Motors quietly run out of 250,000 kilometers almost do not cause problems during operation. True, inexpensive tuning is not provided here. The designers have pulled the maximum out of the possible. Engine specifications. It's a naturally aspirated petrol engine utilizing an injector fuel system. The power output varies based on the version. Blacktop delivers 185 to 200 horsepower, while the red top achieves an impressive 200 to 220 horsepower. Torque output ranges between 205 and 215 Newton meters for the blacktop and 210 to 220 Newton meters for the red top. Constructed with an aluminum off 4-cylinder block, featuring an aluminum 16-valve block head. The compression ratio varies between 10 and 11. Unlike some counterparts, this engine does not feature hydraulic lifters. The timing drive relies on a belt, equipped with a VTEC phase regulator. The engine meets in Euro 1 and 2 standards. Fuel consumption for the Honda Prelude 1998 with this engine is rated at 12.8 litre for 100 kilometers in the city, 7.7 litre for 100 kilometers on the highway, and 9.5 litre for 100 kilometers in combined driving conditions. With an estimated lifespan of around 300,000 kilometers, this engine emphasizes durability and reliability for an extended period of use. Disadvantages of the Honda H22A engine. These engines are very reliable, but they are often criticized for progressive oil consumption. Also, oil likes to ooze from gaskets, seals, plugs, and a pressure sensor. Sometimes the car starts to react badly to the gas pedal due to electrical glitches. More often than not, antifreeze leaks occur here due to the fault of another burst tube. Since there are no hydraulic lifters here, the valves will have to be adjusted every 40,000 kilometers. I would personally go with the H22A4 in the 5th gen of the Honda Prelude. Reliable engine with good amount of horsepower and a good body style. No.2 F4R. The forced modification of the F4R unit for sports versions of the Clio. In 1999, Mechachrome engineers boosted this motor to 172 HP for the Clio RS, and in 2004, the restyled Clio 2 RS received an even more powerful 182 HP engine. Sports modifications based on the 3rd generation Clio were equipped with 197 and 200 HP versions. Engine specifications. Introduced in 1998 and has been in production for several years. It's a naturally aspirated petrol engine utilizing an injector fuel system with a power output ranging from 172 to 200 horsepower. The torque output falls between 200 and 215 Newton meters of torque. Constructed with a cast iron R4 cylinder block featuring an aluminum 16-valve block head. The compression ratio is set between 11 and 11.5. Hydraulic lifters are incorporated into the design. The timing drive relies on a belt. A phase regulator is included, optimizing the engine's performance across different driving conditions, meeting Euro 3 and 4 standards. Fuel consumption for the Renault Clio RS 2006 with this engine is rated at 12.2 litre for 100 kilometers in the city, 7.1 litre for 100 kilometers on the highway, and 8.9 litre for 100 kilometers in combined driving conditions. With an estimated lifespan of approximately 350,000 kilometers, this engine emphasizes durability and longevity in its design. Disadvantages of the Renault F4R engine. The first versions of the unit had a compression ratio of about 10 and were considered very reliable. However, when switching to Euro 5, the compression ratio was raised to 11 and then to 11.2 in general. Frequent use of low-octane gasoline results in detonation and piston damage. The problematic place of this engine is the phase regulator on the intake camshaft. Often, it starts to crack even before 100,000 kilometers and replacement is expensive. Closer to 100,000 kilometers of run, oil consumption often appears up to a litre per 1,000 kilometers. The reason is usually the occurrence of piston rings and hardened valve stem seals. A generally reliable power unit constantly suffers suffers from electrical failures. Most often, the ignition coils and the crankshaft position sensor fail. Many owners of cars with such an engine are faced with unstable operation of their engine. It can be helped by start to flushing the throttle and then clean the nozzles with special tools. Another rather modest resource in this power unit is its rear support, and lubricant leaks are also common, and especially along the rear crankshaft oil seal. I would personally go with the F4R 832 in the 3rd gen of the Renault Clio RS, a fun car with reliable engine and excellent handling. However, the Renault Clio 3 RS owners used to have issues with gear synchronization around 200,000 kilometers. So if you keep the right maintain to the engine, maybe the only thing will be the transmission. No.3 HYDA. The 2.5-litre Ford HYDA or 2.5 Duratec ST225 engine was produced from 2005 to 2010 and was installed on a sports modification of the 2nd generation of the Focus model with the ST index. This unit, in fact, was just a clone of the engine of the Volvo modular engine family. Engine specifications. This engine is a turbocharged petrol engine featuring a distributed injection system. The power output of this engine is an impressive 225 horsepower with a torque output of 320 Newton meters. Constructed with an aluminum R5 cylinder block and aluminum 20 valve block head. The compression ratio is set at 9.0. Unlike some counterparts, this engine does not feature hydraulic lifters. The timing drive relies on a belt. Equipped with a CVVT, continuous variable valve timing, phase regulator, this engine optimizes valve timing for improved efficiency and performance across different driving conditions. Meeting Euro 4 standards. Fuel consumption for the Ford Focus 2 ST 2009 with this engine is rated at 13.8 litre for 100 kilometers in the city, 6.8 litre for 100 kilometers on the highway, and 9.3 litre for 100 kilometers in combined driving conditions. With an estimated lifespan of around 400,000 kilometers, this engine emphasizes durability and longevity, making it a reliable choice for enthusiasts seeking both performance and longevity. Disadvantages of the HYDA engine. The most common concern here is the crankcase ventilation system, or rather the PCV valve. When the valve is dirty, the engine howls and oil presses through the camshaft seal. If grease regularly gets on the belt, its resource drops to 80,000 kilometers. Bad fuel quickly affects the condition of the candles, coils, and fuel pump. The turbine runs differently for everyone. Many change it on a run of 150,000 kilometers. I personally would pick up a MK2 pre-facelift Ford Focus ST with this engine, because this hot hatch offers a reliable engine and a good amount of power. That's why I own one. No.4 ABF. The Volkswagen 2.0-litre gasoline engine was produced from 1992 to 1999 and was installed on the 3rd generation sports modifications of the Golf and the Ford Passat. This power unit is also found under the hood of Seat Ibiza, Toledo and Cordoba cars. Engine specifications. It's a naturally aspirated petrol engine utilizing an injector fuel system. The power output of this engine stands at 150 horsepower with a torque output of 180 Newton meters, constructed with a cast iron R4 cylinder block featuring an aluminum 16 valve block head. The compression ratio is set at 10.5. Hydraulic lifters are incorporated into the design. The timing drive system employs a combination of chain and belt. Unlike some counterparts, this engine does not feature a phase regulator. Meeting Euro 2 and 3 standards. Fuel consumption for the Golf 3 GTI 95. With this engine is rated at 11.6 litre for 100 kilometers in the city, 6.7 litre for 100 kilometers on the highway, and 8.5 litre for 100 kilometers in combined driving conditions. With an estimated lifespan of around 400,000 kilometers, this engine underscores durability and longevity, making it a reliable choice for a variety of driving needs. Disadvantages of the Volkswagen ABF engine. This power unit is considered very reliable and breaks down relatively rarely. However, the design of the motor uses a lot of original and expensive parts. The main problems here are caused by sensor malfunctions, and above all, the throttle position sensor. The timing belt resource is about 90,000 kilometers, and when it breaks, the valves usually bend. At high mileage, piston rings often lie, and oil consumption appears. I would personally go with a Seat Ibiza 6K3 with this engine because this amount of power in such a small cabin can be a thrilling combination. No.5 G4GC. The 2.0-litre Hyundai G4GC engine was assembled at the plant in Ulsan from 2000 to 2011 and was installed on such popular models of the company as Tucson, Kia Ceed, Cerato. This unit belongs to the updated Beta 2 line and has an analogue for L4GC gas fuel. In 2000, the 2.0-litre unit of the Beta 2 family debuted on the third generation Elantra, and already in 2003 this engine was updated. It received an intake camshaft dephaser. The rest of the engine design is quite typical for the Beta series. Also, here is multi-port fuel injection, a closed-type liquid cooling system with forced circulation, and a conventional pressure and splash lubrication system. Engine specifications. It's a naturally aspirated petrol engine. The fuel system of this engine utilizes distributed injection for optimal performance, with a power output ranging from 136 to 143 horsepower, generating a torque output between 179 and 186 Newton meters of torque. The cylinder block is constructed from cast iron R4, featuring an aluminum 16-valve block head. The compression ratio is set at 10.1. Hydraulic lifters are not incorporated in this engine. The timing drive system employs a combination of chain and belt. A phase regulator is integrated into the system, meeting Euro 3 and 4 standards. Fuel consumption for a specific model, such as the Hyundai Coupe 2003, is rated at 10.9 litre for 100 kilometers in the city, 6.4 litre for 100 kilometers on the highway, and 8.4 litre for 100 kilometers in combined driving conditions. With an estimated lifespan of around 500,000 kilometers, this engine underscores longevity and endurance. Disadvantages of the Hyundai G4GC engine. This is a very reliable power unit with a long resource and without serious flaws. Its weak points include perhaps a rather capricious ignition system. There are a considerable number of topics on the specialized forums about the unstable operation of the engine and solving problems after replacing the ignition coil or its high voltage wires. Motors of the Beta series are quite demanding on the quality of the lubricant and the procedure for replacing it. Therefore, saving often leads to the failure of the phase regulator up to 100,000 kilometers, and the use of highly liquid oils for long runs also leads to the rotation of the liners. In these engines, the crankshaft is connected to the exhaust camshaft by a belt, the resource of which, according to the manufacturer's official data, is about 90,000 kilometers. But dealers play it safe and change it every 60,000 kilometers because when it breaks, the valves bend. Also, the owners complain about the noisy and even sometimes hard operation of the unit, the low resource of attachments, as well as malfunctions of the computer and temperature sensor. I personally prefer the Hyundai Coupe with this engine because maybe it's lacking of power, but at least in the corners have a good performance. Here's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new too. If that's the case, then hit the like and subscribe button. Goodbye for now, take care, and see you in the next video. Bye.